and welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast. We are looking at the BKT EuroCup. We are in episode 12 of the 2025-26 season, round 10. And it was a crazy round 10, and we are here to talk all about it. And by we, I mean myself, David Hein, of Hein News, and taking the charge and Substack, and Marco Munno as he's been all season, communication specialist and collaborator with Sky Sports and La Giornale Tatipo. Marco, how you doing?
Well, it's fine. It's fine. It's been a crazy round in EuroCup, so we already said that, and we will go deep into it.
Yeah, we had a major upset. We'll talk about later on with Borg going down, crashing, and then Besiktas pulling off a miracle, and yeah, Cedevita losing as well. Actually, we're not going to delve too much into that, but so right now, Jerusalem, who played at home for the first time, they're top Group A at 8-2, followed by two teams, Cedevita and Bajasir at 7-3, both of them. And then on the other side, in Group B, we have Besiktas and Borg, both at 8-2. Besiktas ahead because of their victory over Borg. And then Turk Telekom and Buducnost are even at 7-3, a game behind. No, Hamburg have still not won. I think they're 0-19 for the season. Yeah, I think they're 0-19 for the season. 0-10 in the Euro Cup. So let's get on with it. Second half of the season of the regular season is officially underway. And you wanted to, so one of the things, let's behind the curtain here, so we try to talk about, we try not to talk about the same player every week, and actually we try not to talk about the same player at all. So Marco wanted to talk about Bryce Jones, and we always want to talk about Bryce Jones because he's a great player. And we talked about last week the Bryce Jones Fats Russell matchup really wasn't what everybody, especially myself, was really it didn't really live up to it quite as much as we had hoped. And so Marco's like, yeah, I want to talk about Bryce Jones, and like, you talked about him in round one, also against Venice. And so I said, listen, go talk. So we talk about two players each, and we talk about one game. So I said, talk about the Aris game, and then you could talk about another player. So he's gonna talk about the Aris victory over Reyer. Aris victory over Reyer, 98-86. Big game in Group A. Both teams were 4-5 going into it, so a lot was on the line here. And Aris, gave up the lead, and but ended up coming out on top. So why don't you talk about the Aris's victory over Reyer?
Yeah, and as the game of Bryce Jones, it seems a callback from the first round because once again Aris won by 4, so they got two victories in the matchup and both by 4 points against Venice, and in a group like they won the Group A. Um, that can really matter because now you got the you don't have a tie, you got 2-0 for Aris, and Aris basically won it in the beginning of in the middle of the first quarter because they had like a great run 22, and then we had the score that was at 13-17 after 4 minutes, so basically you're just tied, and then you got 33-19 after 4 minutes, and then Benny starting to was trying to go to cut the Aris lead, and they were there like twice, one of the end of the third quarter, and then in the last quarter they were -2, -1, but they never were able to uh, get get themselves in front. They were once again suffering the offensive rebounds from the other team, and also the a lot of trips from the free throw line from Aris that were really um, setting the score. And I think the new Aris with Andjusic, with Noah, has got really a new look. And then you got the same guy on the lead, that is Bryce Jones. Another time he delivers a huge personal game. He's got 20 points. He's got 12 assists, and it seems he's got 5 rebounds. And it seems like every time he faces Venice, he's really making the difference. And then a second matchup won by Aris will be really, really important from in the standings. Also because Venice, if you look at the scores, they lost both game by 4, and I think they would prefer to lose one by, I don't know, 20, and won the other one, instead of being 2-0. And basically they now have to win all the games, more games than Aris to go in front of them into the standings at the end of the group phase.
I don't know okay, maybe to go ahead of, yeah, I mean, that's a mess. It's a mess in Group A. We talked about it last week. Between the fourth place and the ninth place, fourth to ninth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. There's one game difference. The first 4 teams, Cluj, Manresa, Neptunas, and Aris, are 5-5, and then you have Reyer and Slask at 4-6, and then obviously you have the cellar dweller with Hamburg. So there's so much left to go for Aris, for Reyer. I mean, they you grab a victory over Slask, you grab a victory over Neptunas, and now with these games, you if you are Reyer, you do have to be happy that you only lost by 4 points in both of those, because you're seeing some pretty big deficits as far as and those can hurt you really if they get into a point differential. I do want to mention, because we're both still high on Aris, but I do want to say, so since they won in round 6, right, against Slask, they lost, then they won, then they lost, then they won. So still zero consistency. They win on the road, they lose at home. They win on the road, they lose it, they win at home. I mean, there's no consistency at all, except the inconsistency. One loss, one loss, one in the last five rounds. So to be honest, until they can string together 3 or 4 victories, you really can't take them as a serious series candidate. You look at the personnel and you have to say, yes, you can, but they need to get a couple of victories in a row, especially with all of that mess that they're in the middle of. They're outside the playoffs right now in 7th place. So let's wait until they win 3 or 4. If they win 3 or 4 in a row, then things will look a lot better for them. Let's move over to a near, actually probably the biggest shocker. It would have been the biggest shocker of the round, which was pretty close to happening. Besiktas over in Group B, being able to turn it around, win in overtime, 94-85 against Lietkabelis. Besiktas now at 8-2, atop Group B, 4 wins in a row. Lietkabelis down at 2-8, and 2 games behind the three teams at 4-6. Besiktas built a big lead, 14-point leads in the second quarter, but they just couldn't keep their foot on the gas, and then they were down in the third quarter. 30 seconds left in the game. Lietkabelis lead by 5. 30 seconds left in the game on the road. Vito Brown, hits a big three, and then you get a steal and 2 free throws from the inbound pass by Yiğit Arslan with 18 seconds left. The game goes to overtime. Besiktas score the first 12 points of overtime, 2 threes by Jonah Matthews, and that's it. Besiktas, that's why Besiktas are a title contender, because they have those guys that can come through when it matters. Ante Zizic, 16 and 7, Matthews 14 points, Vito Brown 13 points. Importantly, 3 of 5 threes. He came into the game shooting 35% on 3-pointers, which is okay, but for him it's not. He's been shooting even upper 40s, 50% on threes over the last couple of years. And so to see him shoot 3 of 5 on threes, that could be a turnaround. And if they get him going as well, that's going to make them that much more difficult. Michael Flowers, 27 points, pretty efficient game, 7 of 14 plus 10 of 11 on free throws for 35 PIR. Christian Kulame, 18 points, but not really anything else, and Lietkabelis, they're gonna rue losing this game. Saving grace, it was the road game, but if they want to make the playoffs, they're gonna have to win games like that. All right, let's go back over to Group A with the team that is actually right now in the 6th spot, and that is Neptunas. Another overtime game, and that, which, if you look at the score, you're like, huh? Overtime with that score? And they took down Slask 103-87. Neptunas at 5-5, Slask at 4-6. And you want to talk about Arnas Velicka.
Yeah, I think is that Neptunas was really kind of a bit of a shock that they won this game if you look at how it started, because Lietkabelis kind of Neptunas had to recover from the disadvantage that of the beginning of the game. And thing is that when you have
17 point lead by Slask in the first quarter.
Yeah, and we already mentioned on the last show that it would be really a matchup to look, and we were really thinking about it because as a crucial matchup for the group, for the qualification to the next round. And then I think Velicka is really rising up. It seems like he's a late bloomer in all this competition, and I think he's building up the momentum that he gained from this Eurobasket of the summer. And Eurobasket was the first time in which he played a major competition with the national team, because he was really starring in the youth competitions. I remember he was he won the bronze medal in 2016 in the FIBA World Championship under 17, and then on the Eurobasket under 20, he was averaging like 16 points and 6 assists, more or less. And then he had also the chance to play the summer league with the Boston Celtics. So it seems like he was on that way to go even overseas, but it didn't happen. And then he's not really losing himself, but he was a kind of a bit of a late bloomer, and this season in EuroCup he is kind of is Neptunas. He's the leading in the in all the EuroCup for assist. He's 10th in the PAR, and also is really important when it comes to clutch moments, when it comes to daggers. And also in that game, in the overtime, he was the one that scored the triple that basically ended the game, because the momentum that Neptunas already had into the game was really shifting completely on their ends. He scored the triple of +7 into the game, because there were really 3 minutes at the end of the overtime, and he scored 3 minutes and a half, and he scored the triple of 97 to 85. So when the two teams were really still fighting, they got 4 points differential between one another after going to the overtime. So getting tie to get there, he was really once again scoring the dagger, and I think that is the his characteristics that is going on, that is building up. So being clutch, and not only the pace controller that is on the Neptunas side.
Yeah, so it was a 103-87 victory. And so the 16-point victory. They lost in Slask, in Poland, in Wrocław. They lost by 10 points. So 6 point differential over Slask, in that mess that is the Group A. I'm gonna go back over to Group B, and I'm gonna talk about Turk Telekom Ankara. They finished the, let's say, I think they finished they went into the break. Yeah, right. They went into the break the game before. They lost to Besiktas, and then came out of the break, beat Chemnitz in Germany, won on the road, and then went to Ulm. And it was an Ulm team that beat them. Round one, 93-96 in Germany. And so Turk Telekom has been on a roll since that start. They lost round two, which we'll get to later on, to Borg, and since then they've won 7 of 8 games. They're at 7-3, right snuck in behind Borg and Besiktas, even with Buducnost. And so I want to talk about Kris Bankstron, career high, tied a career high with 15 points, set a new career high with 13 rebounds in a 53-87 blowout, 34-point win at Ulm. So Ulm missed their first 12 shots, committed 5 turnovers, and did not score for the first 8 minutes and 17 seconds of the game. The giving for the positive for Ulm is that it was still only 8-0 for Turk Telekom, and the first quarter ended 10-4, which is tied for the fewest points ever in a quarter of a EuroCup game. Then Turk Telekom started to play, and they rolled. They just cruised, and it really wasn't much of a game after that. As I mentioned, 7-8, 7 of the last 8 games. Ulm is still free falling. They did beat Jena in the league, in German league, and that snapped a 5-game losing streak. They had lost 10 of their last 11 total games, but now they've lost 4 straight in the league, in EuroCup, in 5 of the last 6 games, and they're clearly missing Chris Ledlum and Tommy Kleppis. Mark Smith, he couldn't play the last couple of minutes and really struggled to get off the court on his own. And if he can't go, then they're in real problem. We'll have to see what that injury, if there was an injury at all or whatnot. But to Kris Bankstron, fantastic season already. They have plenty of names there. Second, they also have Kyle Alexander there. This is his second season in the EuroCup. He was with Aris in 23-24. Played at Tofas Bursa last year, so he's still in Turkey. And this is just a fantastic fun high flyer. He ended the game. There was a steal, and he ended the game on this like windmill reverse dunk at the buzzer, basically, and it was just fantastic. And they asked him about dunking at the end of the game. He says, "That's my favorite thing to do, fly through the air." So, Kris Bankstron, just loads of fun to watch. Turk Telekom, I said at the beginning of the year when they lost their first two games, I said, do not get off the bandwagon with the two losses and look at them right now, 7-3. Yeah, they're right there. So move over to you. Staying with a German team, Chemnitz. They beat Panionios 73-68. Chemnitz at 4-6, and Panionios at 1-9. And you want to talk about Amadou Sow or so?
Yeah, Chemnitz now is the first between all the is the best team staying to with the standings between the teams that are 4-6 into the Group B, and there are Chemnitz, London Lions, and Ulm that fall down this always falling down, and now Chemnitz is the best one in the three-way tie. And when you think about Chemnitz, you said it before about you talked about bandwagon. Everybody is on the bandwagon of Yebo when you think about Chemnitz and you think about big man on Chemnitz, but this time the big man that was really shining was So. He had its second double double in this season. He had 19 points, he had 10 rebounds, and also uh, in the last three games he is reaching the double figure in points three times, and in the rest of the competition he reached the double figure only one time. And so he's kind of on a roll, and I think this one is its best game on this Euro in this season of EuroCup as for now. And I think you can see how he's big. I mean, he's got his physique, so he's kind of not really bowling, but yeah, he's big, he's huge, but he's got also a soft touch, and I think he's a bit undervalued because um, he was always able to have really decent percentage when it comes to shooting from 3 points. So all his career, he was really effective also from the outside. And even if he's not shooting so much, he can provide some a bit of a double dimension because he's got soft hands. And for instance, this season he's shooting 43.7% from 3 points. So I think if Chemnitz wants to go past the group phase, and that will be a tight battle to reach that goal. They have to find other weapons after Yebo and after Corey Davis. And I think so can really be helpful as it was in this situation to win some games and to go ahead also because in this group you got maybe four teams that are really better than the others, Besiktas or Berg or Turk Telekom or Buducnost. After that, there are really some ties, there are really some situation in which you have to prevail, and finding some help aside from the best name on the roster is really giving you the weapons to go ahead and pass this round.
One of the things that I have said the entire season about Chemnitz is their point differential. They're 4-6, and also, like as you mentioned, even with London and Ulm, and they're at 4-6, and they beat Ulm by 11 points, and they lost against London by 1 point. So there's that in the three-way tie. But they have a 0 plus minus. I've said the entire year, that they are playing all these close games and they're barely losing anything. You look at London is minus 46 and Ulm is at minus 107. So a huge advantage on the plus minus for Chemnitz. So yeah, and it's still that's what you have to do in all these international games. You can't lose by many points, and you want to try to win by as many points. All right, let's move over to my guy that I want to talk about with the upset of the week. I guess I'd have to give it more thought than just off the top of my head, but really up there as far as like upset of the season. Um, it's definitely up there, especially when you consider. So it's Dolomiti Energia Trento beating Borg at home as on the road in France. Where's my score? 91-73. Consider that Trento lost at home in round one by 31 points. And now they beat Borg by 18. This was a wild game. Borg came out on fire 21-5 after 5 minutes. Trento, 2:23 run to go ahead, and they led by 14 points in the first half. Borg scored 13 points early in the second half to pull within 1 point. Bend but never break. Trento never gives up the lead, weathers the storm, pushes the lead out to even 21 points, and pulls off the huge upset. And sitting right now there at 5-5, ahead of those three teams that we just mentioned at 4-6, alone in fifth place in the Group B. 5-5, they're 4-2 away from home, back-to-back road victories. And the guy that I want to talk about is Andrej Jakimovski, North Macedonian. Tied his career high, 30 points. He scored 30 points in round 8 against Chemnitz. He 7 rebounds, 10 fouls drawn, an index rating of 42. I remember seeing him back in 2018-19. He was on loan with Reyer for the next gen. He played with Torino, and then he went to the college. And this is his first season back in Europe as a rookie. And he's been phenomenal. He's just been, balling out, and it gives them a real weapon that, people, you knew that that he would be valuable to them because he's an Italian, because he's been in Italy for so long. He counts as an Italian, and you knew that would be valuable. But he was a kid, I think he's 24, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 25, but he's still a relative young kid and still not that much experience. So for him to get this kind of game, for Trento to get this kind of production from him, you're going to get, you're going to get things from Devontae Jones, from DJ Stewart, from Aldridge, from Bay and Battle. But to see Jakimovski do this, this is pretty impressive. Coach Cancelleri, last thing on him, because I know you have something on for him. Cancelleri, the coach, he says, as long as he doesn't freak out and think he is better than he is, he's a player who can develop with steadiness. So if that's not a way to say, listen, kid, you ain't done nothing yet. So yeah, huge victory for Trento, and basically Borg have to say, all right, we don't even know what happened. It's done. It's over, forgotten, and we move forward.
Yeah, and a little tip, a little thing about Jakimovski. He's got a brother that plays into the fifth league in Italy, and one of his teammates is the brother of Shiknyang. So yeah, it's really funny that you got a couple of brothers into the fifth league and into Trento together.
Okay, really quick, some of the things we did miss. Jerusalem, as we said, they played their first game at home, first game in Israel since October 23. They beat Hamburg. Bajasir, tough matchup with Cluj. They won by 12 to stay up near the leaders. And Manresa. Manresa, took down Cedevita by 17 at home. I did want to mention really quick that I had mentioned Alfonso Plummer, and he has actually left the team. He was with Manresa, and he has actually left the team, gone to another team. So, and Cedevita, they didn't have Thomas Kennedy, and it was missed yesterday. So, all right, let's move to in the final couple minutes. Let's move to round 11. What are some of your big matchups?
Well, stay with Cedevita, and I'm looking forward to their matchup with Jerusalem for the top spots of Group A.
Yeah, Cedevita 7-3, Jerusalem 8-2. Cedevita won round 2 by 15 points on the road. I have another one, another big time. Also 7-3, 8-2. Turk Telekom hosting Borg. Borg round 2 by 8 points. So that's another one we need to watch. The aforementioned Trento is hosting Buducnost. Buducnost at 7-3 in Group B. Trento at 5-5, but only 1-3. We mentioned that they're 4-2 on the road. They're only 1-3 at home. So maybe some of that home Italian cooking would be good to get this round for Buducnost. And the last game, because we have it's 5-5 and 5-5, and that's over in Group A, and it's Cluj hosting Neptunas. So loads of games, and again with all of these games, especially with the 5-5, 4-6 teams, you have to think about point differential. So Marco, we're running out of time, so why don't you let everybody know where they can find you on the social media?
Basically on all the social media, and mostly on X as Marco A. Munno, Munno.
And I am mostly on, there's the Taking the Charge Substack, and otherwise I'm at Hein News, HEINNEWS, HEINNEWS, Hein News on Twitter. So with that, we will talk to you next week. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.